Three Apple TVs. One is only $39, one is $199, and one is $12.99. Just think about that for a second. A $39 Apple TV Mini for basic streaming. A $199 Apple TV Ultra for performance, gaming, AI, and smart home control. And then a $12.99 Apple TV Vision Pro, an 8K AI cinema machine. That is not a normal product lineup. That is a 33 times price gap between the cheapest and the most expensive Apple TV. So the real question is not, which one is more powerful? The real question is, why would anyone pay $12.99 for an Apple TV? And more importantly, should you? Let's start with the cheapest one, Apple TV Mini. At $39, this thing is not trying to be powerful. It is not trying to replace a gaming console. It is not trying to become a full home theater system. It is trying to do one thing: give you the Apple TV experience at the lowest possible price. And honestly, that makes it dangerous. Because for $39, Apple TV Mini could attack cheap streaming sticks directly. People who normally buy a basic streaming stick for YouTube, Netflix, Disney+, Apple TV+, sports, and movies could suddenly look at Apple TV Mini and think, wait, why not buy Apple's version instead? That is the real power of Mini. Not performance, not AI, not 8K. Price. Expected storage would be around 64 GB. Expected video would be 4K at 60 frames per second. Expected power would be the baseline, let's call it 1x power. And for millions of people, that is enough. Because not everyone needs extreme specs. Some people just want the app to open fast, the movie to play smoothly, the interface to feel clean, and the remote to work without frustration. For those people, Apple TV Mini makes perfect sense. But here is the catch. A $39 Apple TV sounds amazing until you start thinking about what Apple had to remove to make it that cheap. Less power, less storage, weaker gaming, fewer AI features, limited smart home control, no premium cinema features. So yes, Mini wins on price, but it loses on future-proofing. And that matters, because a streaming box in 2026 will not just be a streaming box. AI is coming, smart homes are getting bigger, gaming is getting more serious, and people are keeping devices for longer. So Mini may be perfect today, but in 2 or 3 years, it could feel like the weakest model in the lineup. That brings us to Apple TV Ultra. And this is where things start getting serious. Apple TV Ultra is $199. That is more than 5 times the price of Mini. So Apple has to give you a real reason to pay more. And that reason is performance. Ultra is not for the person who just wants Netflix in the bedroom. Ultra is for the person who wants Apple TV to become the center of the living room. Expected storage 128 GB to 256 GB. Expected video 4K at 120 frames per second. Expected power 2x to 3x more than Mini. Expected use gaming, smart home control, AI features, faster Siri, better wireless speed, and stronger long-term performance. This is the model that makes Apple TV feel less like a streaming box and more like a small living room computer. Because think about what people want now. They want one device that can handle movies, games, HomePods, lights, smart home scenes, voice commands, AI recommendations, AirPlay, iPhone integration, everything. That is exactly where Ultra fits. Mini plays content. Ultra controls the room. And that difference is huge. At $199, Apple TV Ultra is not cheap, but it is still reasonable. It is expensive enough to feel premium, but not so expensive that it becomes ridiculous. And this is why Ultra may become the best model for most people. Not because it is the cheapest. Not because it is the most futuristic, but because it gives the best balance. Better speed, better gaming, better AI, better smart home features, better future-proofing, without jumping into luxury pricing. But now comes the model everyone will talk about, Apple TV Vision Pro. And this one is wild. Priced $12.99. That is not a small jump. That is more than 33 times the price of Mini, and more than 6 times the price of Ultra. So let's be honest. At $12.99, Apple TV Vision Pro cannot be just another Apple TV. It cannot just open apps faster. It cannot just have more storage. It cannot just give you a nicer remote. At that price, it has to completely change the experience. And that is where the idea of 8K AI cinema comes in. Apple TV Vision Pro would be built for people who want the most premium home entertainment experience possible. Expected storage 256 GB to 512 GB. Expected video 8K AI cinema. Expected power 5x more than Mini. Expected audience premium home theater users, Vision Pro users, and people already deep inside the Apple ecosystem. But what does 8K AI cinema actually mean? It means the Apple TV is not just playing the content. It is improving the content while you watch. Imagine watching a movie where every scene is being analyzed in real time. Brightness, contrast, color, sharpness, motion, HDR, dialogue, spatial audio, everything. Dark scenes become clearer. Old movies become sharper. Fast action becomes smoother, dialogue becomes cleaner, colors become more cinematic, sound becomes more immersive. This is not normal playback anymore. This is Apple trying to make your TV smarter than the content itself. And that is why Vision Pro is exciting, because it is not selling convenience. It is selling transformation. The Mini says, I can stream your movie. The Ultra says, I can power your living room. But the Vision Pro says, I can turn your living room into a cinema. That is a completely different promise. But now we have to ask the uncomfortable question. Do most people actually need this? Because 8K sounds incredible. AI cinema sounds futuristic. A 5x power jump sounds impressive. But most people are still watching 4K. A lot of streaming content is compressed. True 8K content is still limited. Many people do not even own an 8K TV. And even if they do, they need fast internet, the right HDMI setup, and premium speakers to really feel the difference. So yes, Apple TV Vision Pro could be the most powerful model. But the most powerful product is not always the smartest purchase. That is the trap. People may get excited by 8K AI cinema. They may get excited by 5x more power. They may get excited by the Vision Pro name. But then they will look at the price $12.99. And suddenly the question changes. Not is it amazing, but is it worth it? For most people, the answer may be no. For casual users, Mini is enough. For serious users, Ultra is probably the sweet spot. For premium cinema users, Vision Pro makes sense. And that is exactly how Apple would separate the lineup. Mini is for budget users. Ultra is for power users. Vision Pro is for cinema users. Mini costs $39. Ultra costs $199. Vision Pro costs $12.99. Mini gives 64 GB 4K 60 FPS and 1x baseline power. Ultra gives 128 GB to 256 GB, 4K 120 FPS, and 2x to 3x power. Vision Pro gives 256 GB to 512 GB, 8K AI cinema, and 5x power. Now the difference becomes clear. Mini is the cheapest Apple TV. Ultra is the smartest Apple TV. Vision Pro is the most ambitious Apple TV. And honestly, that makes the buying decision easier. If you only watch YouTube, Netflix, Apple TV+, Disney+, sports, and movies, the $39 Apple TV Mini makes sense. You get the Apple experience without paying premium money. If you want gaming, smart home control, AI tools, better speed, and a device that lasts longer, the $199 Apple TV Ultra is the best choice. This is probably the model most people should buy. But if you want the most futuristic version of Apple TV, if you want 8K AI cinema, if you already have a premium TV, HomePods, fast internet, and maybe a Vision Pro headset, then the $12.99 Apple TV Vision Pro is the one to watch. Not because it is practical, but because it shows where Apple wants to go. And that is the bigger story. For years, Apple TV was just a small black box under your television. Clean, fast, but not exactly exciting. This lineup changes that because now Apple TV becomes a family. Budget, performance, cinema, 3 models, 3 prices, 3 different buyers, and 3 completely different futures. The $39 Mini attacks cheap streaming sticks. The $199 Ultra attacks gaming boxes and smart home hubs. The $12.99 Vision Pro attacks premium home cinema. So Apple is not just trying to sell another Apple TV. Apple is trying to own the living room, your TV, your games, your speakers, your smart home, your AI assistant, your Vision Pro ecosystem, all connected through one Apple device. And that is why this matters. Because if Apple gets this right, Apple TV will no longer be just a streaming box. It becomes the brain of the living room. So now the final question is simple. Would you buy the $39 Apple TV Mini because it is cheap? Would you buy the $199 Apple TV Ultra because it is the best value? Or would you spend $12.99 on Apple TV Vision Pro because you want the future of 8K AI cinema? Because in this lineup, the cheapest model may sell the most. The Ultra may make the most sense. But the Vision Pro is the one that could change everything.